we always say this is why we don't have nice things.
Yeah,
right?
Isn't that the truth?
Preach.
Welcome to Cue the Mic.
Welcome back, guys. Episode 28.
28. I'm coming live from not live, but I'm in Cape Coral, Florida.
Yeah.
Competition barbecue season's done, and it means a little time to reflect on the business for the year and work on year end and get some quiet time, even though there's not much quiet time, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And Emma's coming hot off vacation. We kind of
a couple hours ago, actually.
She gave me one task. Task. You have to shoot a podcast. So I said, okay.
He didn't even have to edit it. I just needed the actual video and audio. And I was going to pull it and still make the podcast. That's all you had to do is just hit the record button.
Just had to hit the record button. And I'm like, okay, who am I going to talk to? Well, I'm like, well, that's an easy one. We got to call old Randy Twyford and say, hey, so I called Randy and I said, hey, we need to do a podcast. Emma's on vacation. Oh, okay. So we think we're going to do it on Monday, but then we get a little busy and Tuesday and oh boy, end of the week would be great. Maybe Thursday or Friday. And so then he ends up booking this last minute catering. Great for him. Books a last minute catering on Friday. And I'm like, well, can we try it on Saturday? And well, we got to do it at 5 a.m. because he's busy on Saturday. And finally then Emma and she's sitting in the hotel room in Italy on Saturday night Saturday night because she's traveling all day Sunday. And we thought, well, if we could get this thing done, then she could edit it. But the internet was shit. And it just wasn't working. And it was she was
I was
5-minute delay. And it was this isn't going to work. We're just going to delay this. It's not the end of the world, folks. Only 3 people listen anyway between midnight and 6 a.m. So
we had so many, because I posted a disclaimer saying hey, this episode was going to be late yesterday. And we had so many people laugh at that and comment. I had one guy straight up say, Emma has job security. I was like, you're right. They can't do it without me.
So anyway, I said, you know what, let's just knock this out first thing Monday morning, even though Emma's got a case of the jet lag, but I didn't want to cut old Randy Twyford out. So you know what? We just bringing him in.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
All the way from Jacksonville, Illinois.
Out on Twyford Road, thank you.
Yeah, the world headquarters.
Just next to the world headquarters. So.
Yeah, so you think our Jack Daniels episode, if you haven't watched that, go back and watch that. Make sure you watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because we got that. Randy, did you get a chance to look at that one?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
it's what you call a shit show.
Because it's a shit show. I'm sitting there I'm at the Jack shooting this podcast, right? And Johnny Trigg walks up.
Oh boy.
And Johnny walks up and starts saying what's on Johnny's mind in the middle of the podcast.
Absolutely.
And it was just
I can imagine.
Oh God, and you know him, he'll just say whatever's on his mind. And then Blaine Hunter shows up and tries to do from the porta potty.
Nothing wrong with that.
So it's ugh. Yeah. Same porta potty it used to be, the Twyford World headquarters down there in the holler.
Yeah, years ago. That's exactly right.
So anyway, we thought we'd catch up a little bit. Emma and I haven't really had a conversation. She's been traveling the seas. She likes to do that Italy trip. She likes the overseas, traveling by herself, seeing the world.
Yeah.
She's got that adventurous from her mom. She gets that adventurous side from her mom.
I do.
Yeah. So anyway, how was Italy?
Italy was good. It was good. It's just such a cool place because everything is still pretty authentic and historic and old. They don't have a lot of new construction over there. So it's just always kind of cool to be in places like that, and like people live in apartments that were built forever ago, and it's So I always enjoy going and kind of seeing that stuff.
So you've
And
been there
She
before.
said she was going to be totally unplugged. Yeah, oh yeah, she's been there before. She said she was going to be totally unplugged from social media.
Uh-huh.
And then I get up and I pull up because now I was director of social media last week. I got a promotion. Anyway, I was director of social media. I was in charge of checking all the messages since Emma was going to be unplugged. And the first thing I pull up is the Instagram, and here's an Instagram photo
Well,
of
it's
her.
different
I'm like,
when it's mine.
I thought you were going to be unplugged here.
I wasn't gonna post, but my friend that I went to see, he's a pretty creative guy, and I was like, "Hey, can you take a couple of pictures of me?" Thinking they'd be like basic tourist pictures. He pulled out his best work, so I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna post a ton."
Yeah, I didn't even notice you. You were glowing.
I did have a spray tan.
I admire you, Emma, for admitting it at least.
A lot of people were saying that, and I was like, "No, that's not real."
Yeah, I'm like, I've never seen Emma in those clothes. It was like
That's
it's
true.
like it's looked like you looked up the latest what's the ladies magazine of GQ?
Yeah.
What would that be? What's the ladies equivalent of GQ?
Yeah.
Vogue. See, Randy would know that.
Of course I would.
So we have
yeah. Well, I only ever wear work clothes, but no. I didn't want to look like an American too much. That's kind of my thing over there. But I do no matter what because of my mannerisms, so I didn't really help my case, but
what is the biggest
what's just reason to
What's the
nice.
biggest mannerism that gives you away as an American over there?
I shake everybody's hand instead of like normally, and like they do like the two kisses over there and stuff. Yeah, and normally it's when you're like a little more comfortable with people, but for the most part, if I would stick out my hand, they would be like, "Oh." And they would be like, "Ciao," and then I'd stick out my hand and they'd be like, "Oh, sorry, nice to meet you." That was actually how it would happen. And I was like, "Yeah."
Now, what do they call Americans? What do they call Americans over there? Like down in Puerto Rico, they call them gringos. Yankees?
I don't know.
Oh.
No. He was just I was just getting called an American.
Okay.
So they were probably being nice to me.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to fix a smoker while we're doing this. Of course, nothing breaks, and so nobody's ever replaced a convection fan on an old Hickory, which they have. They just don't remember. Well, like, we've replaced the motor, we haven't replaced the fan. And I'm like, well, if you replace the motor, you had to replace the fan.
Is that one of those deals? I've never replaced one. I've been lucky enough. I haven't. I guess I just don't run mine enough.
Oh, jeez.
Is that you got to climb inside to change it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit.
No.
Oh, you don't?
Okay, we're back to Italy. Let's get off of that. This will be an old Hickory maintenance video.
Okay.
Okay. So your mannerisms, they do the double kiss thing. What?
Yeah.
Why we don't have any sponsors, Randy.
Okay.
So the double kiss thing. What's that? Is there any meaning to that, or is it just a salutation? Is that what that would be called?
I don't know.
Greetings and
that's a big word for me. But yeah, I think it's just a greeting. And my friend Thomas Lamont, or the guy that I was with, he said that normally, most of the time, people really do it when you know them well and like pretty well, or they hug. I'm not a big hugger either, so I was just like, "Hey."
Oh, Sherry'd fit right in over there, man. She's a hugger.
Yeah. But that, and I don't know, the fact that they'd start speaking Italian, and I'd look at them like, I don't know, I can't understand you. Whatever you just said.
Italian.
Yeah.
Me no speaky French.
I had a personal translator. So like they would say it to me, and I'd look at him like, what did they just say? And he'd be like, she's American.
Boy, does that remind me of my life a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was Spanish.
That is tough. What little time I spent with Randy in Puerto Rico, that was tough. I mean, it was struggle, and I could see that.
I know words, but a couple.
You're afraid
not
to talk.
really.
What do you know? Like vino? You know vino and pasta?
Yeah. Well, pasta is pretty easy. And then ciao is hello and goodbye.
Okay.
And then
both.
Yeah. Yeah, it's both over there.
Ciao.
And
ciao.
Yeah, so it's ciao. Normally you say ciao is hello, and then ciao ciao. If you really want to emphasize, like, I am leaving, like, this is a goodbye, you say it twice. And then si is yes, and no is no.
Well, isn't si in Hispanic?
Yeah.
Si?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Hey, si. Huh.
And then
about the only thing I ever learned. Huh?
Grazie is thank you?
Yep. Grazie is thank you. So
Grazie. Okay.
Yep. Grazie. So I said that a lot, and that was about it. And then they were trying to teach me phrases, and I just can't pronounce them, so I'm not even going to try. I just don't know how to. Yeah, I can't enunciate properly.
What was that one we learned a long time ago in like elementary school? Parlez-vous français?
That's French.
I don't even know.
Yeah, that's French.
No.
Parlez-vous français?
That's from an old Disney movie, I think.
Couple decades younger than you.
Was it?
Yeah, that's an old Disney
I just remember it growing up. Parlez-vous français?
Yeah. Your neck of the woods, that was said a lot, I'm sure. So, Emma.
So one of the things that I asked Emma. Oh boy, here we go again.
Sorry.
Okay.
Here we go.
One at a time.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about was the food, because the food in her trip, the food was the most important thing to me.
Right.
I wanted to live her trip via the food.
Sure.
The wine's cool too, but I'm like, you haven't sent me one food pic.
Yeah.
And finally, Sunday or Saturday night at this hotel, she starts sending me some food pics. But I'm like, it's all about, and maybe that's the way I live. Maybe that's the way I'm fat and 300 pounds is I live through the food.
Well, and I was eating good. Don't get me wrong. My thing was that a lot of the times my friend likes to cook, so I was having a lot of home cooked meals, and some of them I just didn't think to document, or it was very cheap, which was also
Thomas
great.
is a pro basketball player.
Yes, Thomas is a pro basketball player.
You met Thomas
in college
at Indian Hills.
In Indian Hills Community College. My sophomore year.
And then he went on to play professional basketball.
Well, he went and played at the University of Virginia for 2 years.
Okay.
And then, he went back over to Italy, and he's been playing professional basketball for about 3. I think this is his 3rd season.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Are they good?
No. Yeah. Yes. It was rough. It was a rough.
Thank you, Thomas.
It was a rough.
I hope you're watching,
week.
buddy.
No, he would agree. They weren't playing very well. We had a lot of conversations about it. And they're just. It sounds like they're a pretty young team, so they're just trying to figure stuff out. But yeah. They didn't win. They didn't win a game I was at, so I was like, I guess I might be bad luck. I just won't come again.
So he played while you were over there.
Yeah, I got to go to 2 games. I haven't watched him play in a couple years, so that was pretty nice.
Huh.
And that was an experience in itself. That because the first game I got to go to was on a Sunday. I made it to Italy Saturday, a couple weeks ago, and that first game I got to go to was the Sunday I was there, and it was sold out. And Italians they like to support their teams. So it was loud, and they had like chants and like a whole it was just, I've never been in an environment like it. I don't even know how to describe it, because it was just, they got so loud at one point, and they started whistling that you couldn't hear the refs whistle.
Wow.
So it was mayhem.
Yeah, it was absolute mayhem.
So what do they have at the concession stand? Do they have
I didn't
like
go.
Croissants and pasta, or do they got hot dogs and nachos and walking tacos?
I'm not sure. I honestly think it's probably like croissants. They don't. They eat a lot better than us over there. But I didn't go. I had courtside seats. I really didn't want to move. And also I'm very American and I didn't know where I was going, so I just sat still. But
just hope she didn't have to pee during the game.
Yeah, but considering if it's anything like, so at their practice gym, they have a cafe for the players, and it's like $10 meals, and you can get multiple like meals. So I ate there for lunch almost every day I was over there. Like I'd either drop Thomas off at practice and go kill time and then come back and meet him for lunch, or he'd come pick me up. And I was having pasta, some of the best pasta I probably had. Like turkey burgers and stuff out of their cafeteria. So if it was anything like that, I'm sure it was great.
So the pasta. It's all about the pasta. The pictures she sent me.
I love pasta. I don't really.
How do they not weigh 500 pounds?
Well, there's apparently, I mean, for one, most of our pasta is processed differently and probably not healthy. And
you think theirs is all made from scratch?
Yeah.
Or do you think, what's the processing different? It's not all made from scratch.
Can't be.
Well, it's probably more than ours are.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I like the way that they dry their pasta is different, and the kind of flour they use is different. Like there's just little stuff. And then one thing that I always thought was interesting is they don't cook their pasta it's like we overcook our pasta. Do you know pasta's supposed to have a little bit of a crunch to it?
Sure.
Not like a loud crunch, but like yeah.
Al dente. That's why every box says cooked to al dente.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it's supposed to be. And
so
it's much better that way.
You're saying soft, like, but still a crunch.
Yeah, like it's kind of a hard texture. Like it's hard to describe. But yeah, like it essentially like there's still a little bit of a give, but not much. You know, it's not like
one of those things that if I cooked it that way here, my daughter'd go, "Who didn't cook the pasta all the way?"
Yeah, because like here you could take a pasta noodle and squish it all the way through. There, like it would stop.
Huh?
Because it's not all the way cooked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it tastes better that way, honestly. And that's how I tend to cook mine at home, just because I'm impatient. I'm like, you know what, this is edible, so I'm gonna just take it off.
Is pasta at about every meal?
Pasta.
Yeah, so they do they'll have like an appetizer, and then they'll have like a pasta, and then they'll have an entree and an entree.
Oh, okay.
They eat so much food. It was insane. I was having pasta as like my first meal to a second plate a couple of days that I was over there. Because they did, yeah. But, yeah, it's all about the pasta.
So what was red sauce, cream sauce, all sauce?
All sauce.
Didn't matter.
I feel like, didn't matter. I think I had a couple of different, I tried to, branch out a little bit. So I'm not sure if it's, I don't want to butcher it, but essentially it was like duck and pasta. I love duck. I had duck when I was in France a couple years ago, and I still think about it. So,
duck, it just duck breast? And was it cooked when I was like medium rare?
No, but for the pasta, it was like in a stew. It was like a duck stew kind of thing over the noodles. And it was essentially like I had a hot beef like equivalent to like what a hot beef sandwich would, or like a hot beef.
Sure. Like pulled, like a pulled. Yeah.
Yeah. It's essentially what it was like, but it was duck and bougier. And I had it with had it with a fat glass of wine.
Randy probably got some ducks on that pond across the street. You could get us up a recipe.
Yeah, they're starting to come in, it's cold weather, so.
Yeah. So I got to have that in Florence at a cool little restaurant by myself, because one of the days I got to just solo travel. So that's where I took myself out. I went and had duck, pasta, and an apple tart. That was so good. Too. An apple. Well, I guess it was more of like a pastry, and then apple tart stuff on top of it. But yeah, and then
interesting. She did tell me one thing that was interesting. That she said, I said, well, we were talking and whatever. And she goes, yeah, I'm kind of anxious to get home because I'm used to my free stuff. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, my free stuff. And I'm like, please explain. So tell us about free stuff, right?
It's not like a whole lot, but
enough to notice.
One of the big things that I think is interesting is that they charge for water. And it's not like we just get, most of the time it's not like it's just water from like a tap essentially, right. But you at a restaurant, you have, if they're like, hey, do you want water? They bring you out a jug of water, like in a glass jar, and they charge you for the entire bottle, and
like a carafe of water.
Yeah, and and it's however many euros. I can't think of how much off the top of my head. And normally, when you're by yourself, you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have got the water because I'm not going to finish that.
That cost me $4, and I'm not going to finish it. And if I do finish it, then I'm going to have to find a place to pee, and I'm not comfortable trying to figure out where to pee at.
Exactly, because some places you have to be some places you had to be a paying customer, which that's here. But the one that really surprised me was at McDonald's. I had to kill some time between when I got to Florence and when I could check into my Airbnb, and I just had to pee, and I spilled some coffee on my white shirt, and so I needed to fix that because I looked like a dumbass. And
at least you're honest about it.
And it was and it was storming, and I was like, I just need to get anywhere else right now. So I went to McDonald's to go use the restroom, and the guy was like, there was a security guard, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, where am I? And he's like, do you have a receipt? And I said, no. And he said, okay, then €1 or like $1. Like, yeah, €1. And I was like, what the f-? I had to pay to use the bathroom. And I was like, this is bogus. And in Milan, I got to go to Milan for a day. My Thomas had to use the restroom, and he's like, hey, I got to buy us a bottle of water. And then you have to stand here and look like a customer so I can go use this bathroom. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you can't just go use a bathroom? So that was one of the things that I was, and there are some places, here that do that, but I just don't think it's not as common as it was over there. So that was something that
I think it's common courtesy.
I didn't even notice the first time.
I think it's common courtesy here if you go to a restaurant or someplace or even a convenience store.
Or a convenience store, right? Yeah. Convenience store.
Pick up a candy bar or a pack of gum or something to use the bathroom.
Right. But it's not like you have to. Like some of those places, I had to, which I was really surprised by.
It's just courtesy.
So that would probably be common. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things.
Casey's in charge.
That I found interesting. That's true. They don't have Casey's over in Italy. Unfortunately.
Do they have convenience stores? Probably not.
Gas stations, yeah.
Right, but does a gas station have a full menu like ours all do?
No,
do the gas
but
station,
again,
it's just a gas station.
Yeah,
and maybe a place to pick up a snack, but it's not. Our gas stations here are.
It's not a quick start.
Restaurants and bakeries and they're just over the board everything.
Well, yeah, and one of my first days, Thomas and I, and then one of his other teammates were talking, and I was like, you guys eat so many carbs, I don't know how you guys aren't so fat. And they're like, well, these are healthy carbs. Like, well, they cook it's all better. And they also, eat them in moderation. I don't feel like we do that super well. But then I was also like, but he ordered a burger, and it was just a patty. And I was like, that's a burger? And he's like, yeah, it's just a hamburger patty. And I was like, where's the bun?
Yeah, I was going to say,
he was like, the bun? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, where's the bun or any of the toppings? "Oh, that's not a burger. That's a patty." And he's like, no, I guess I didn't even think about that. Because we order a burger and it's like this whole extravagant thing. And
that's what a burger is.
Yeah. Well, for them, it was just a patty. And I was like, what is this?
So a burger's just a patty.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was just what he was translating it to, where he's like, oh yeah, this is just a burger. But yeah, it was just a patty. And I was like, that's so sad. But also, probably why you guys don't weigh 300 pounds. I didn't see a single fat person in Italy. Not a one.
Randy, guess you and I are out.
Yeah, we ain't going there.
Well, I mean, when I did, they were in tourist towns. You could tell they were Americans, but
right. Yeah, that's crazy. There's something about whether it's are they working harder? Are they?
Well,
are they not drinking soda? Are they not?
Well,
there's something to that
alcohol.
culture.
I could go to a coffee shop. I'd go order a cappuccino, and there'd be a full bar behind it, like fully stocked. I could get a gin and tonic with my coffee if I wanted. That's just how they all are. Like I could get a bottle of wine pretty much anywhere, or a glass of wine anywhere I would have went. I didn't, because my friend didn't drink very much. So
Randy, you look like you're working there. Are you working?
No.
Hey, Randy,
I'm listening.
You look like you're working.
No, I'm listening.
I need you to focus. If you're going to be part of this podcast, you need to focus.
I'm focused.
But, yeah.
See, show us your hands. Show us your hands.
Hand check.
We better not go there.
Oh, jeez.
We better not go there.
So, we better not go there. No hand check. No. So overall, good trip.
Yeah.
Exhausted. I'm sure you'll be sitting in your office taking a nap most of the day.
No.
How long were you over there?
No, I came in early. I was over there for about 9 days. I was in Italy for 8, actually.
And then here's the part we were talking pre-Darren. How long your flight was home?
Yep, my flight home was almost 11 hours.
Into Atlanta? Does that include Atlanta to Des Moines too?
Nope, that was just from Milan to Atlanta.
Milan to Atlanta, 11 hours.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
See,
on the way there from Atlanta to Milan, it was like 9. And I was, and overnight, so I just slept.
Yeah, because you get the thing. So was the plane comfortable?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
I said,
so
I can't afford first class like some of us.
Right. That's we were talking about that yesterday with Brian and Carrie. We were talking about going somewhere, and because we're always traveling somewhere, and they're like, "Well, yeah." We were talking about Italy actually, and we said, "Yeah, we'd like to go eat the food," but Brian says to Carrie, "You'd never handle the flight." And I'm like, you wouldn't even know any difference. We'd be up in first class. You've got your own little spot and sleep, drink, eat, whatever. It'd be over like you know it.
Airplane food is so good. I said what I said. But if like on an international flight, the food you get, the meals you get, they're so good.
Like how many do you have on the flight?
Get?
I get 2 and then a snack.
Okay.
So yesterday on the way back, I had my lunch was it was a pasta, like a spinach and feta stuffed pasta with like a tomato sauce and mushrooms. It was delicious. Some people were getting, I just don't eat like chicken though, because like you could have got chicken. I didn't. That's a little.
That's a little dry.
Well, and it's a little touch and go because you never know. I didn't want to get like food poisoning. That's what if it was undercooked.
They ain't gonna get. It isn't gonna be undercooked.
I've heard horror stories.
Guarantee any food line that shit's been through the ringer.
It's been nuked so many times by microwaves.
Yeah,
it was made 4 days ago and kept hot.
Yeah.
Well, so I had pasta, and then we had our second meal. I had a tomato mozzarella calzone. Nothing too crazy, but it was delicious.
That's what bugs. You said both those. That's what bugs me about airline food today.
What?
And most of the time, I used to fly American a lot, right? Because when we had our home in Phoenix, I'd jump on first class to American, and in 2.5 hours I'm there, right? And so everything was just great. Well, now we fly Allegiant. So Allegiant, we're back in, there's no first class. It's all cattle class, but that's fine because it's just a direct flight, only direct flight you can get. But every time I fly American, you got all these choices up in first class for food, but all of them are vegan options. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, it's like you can't get anything, or if they offer one thing, they only make 2 of them. So you got to be in the middle seats. You don't want to be in the first seat, or they have a system that says that on going west, they start from the front to take your order and going back, or you're coming back, you start from the back. So every time you get, half the menu is not available and you get stuck with some fucking shit, that I'm like, what the fuck?
Just because my flight was international, but they gave everybody the same 2 options.
Yeah.
The entire flight. And
I'm just like, where's the meat? Where's the
And
something?
they have a meat option. The other calzone was like a salami and something kind of, not like meat. And then a chicken option on both flights. I guess I had chicken the first night. I played a risky little game. I didn't eat half of it because wow, that chicken looked
popcorn fart.
No, the chicken was pretty good, but half of my chicken looked whack. I don't know what part of the chicken I got, but I was like, I'm not gonna eat that. Not gonna play a cat game, so I didn't.
So overall, successful trip, good food.
Oh yeah, yep. I got to drive a boat. I learned how to drive a boat.
Yeah.
In the middle of Lake Como, which is just surreal. But yeah, overall, 10 out of 10. Would do it
10
again.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Even having to pay for $1 to go to the pisser? 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I saved so much money having a chef friend. I didn't even care about the $1. By the end of the trip, I was like, guys, you got to take my euros. I got too many left.
I'm looking outside, and Sherry's outside with the pool boy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's not a good scenario.
I can tell right now when somebody's present, the pool boy spends a lot more time on the pool than when he does when I watch him on the camera.
Exactly. I imagine that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Randy.
Yes.
Randy.
So food truck season kind of coming to an end. I winterized mine before I left Florida.
Right.
Right.
Well, it is and it isn't. I winterized mine, but we got hot water in there with a small Cambro. But we still got a few events left coming up. And it's one of those deals you eventually got to just shut it down because of the weather. As screwy as the weather.
It's too cold. People aren't going to stand it. People aren't going to stand in line to when it's 10 degrees and windy outside to eat at a food truck.
But there is some where some people have some special, customer appreciation, things like that. And we've got a few of those still left this year. So, and if we get a warm day, we'll go out.
We had our food truck guy came in. I hired him from Portland, and he was in, and so I interviewed him on a video call just like this, and interviewed him, and he accepted the job, and I'm like, this guy, there's no way he's showing up. No way is he driving across the country from Portland to take this job. And, my GM kept in touch with him, and all of a sudden, he showed up. I'm like, holy shit. So, and he's run the food truck, done a pretty good job. Had some sales weren't quite as strong as they have been in the past. But the truck's super clean. The truck is, it's been in really good shape. Overall, a pretty successful year. Of course, there's things
Why do you think your sales haven't been as strong?
Well, we didn't go out as much.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Okay.
So I think the
We made sure we
incentive
had 2 days
was,
off.
because I don't, we kind of leave it up to him to schedule the truck. I want it, you kind of want one person just to kind of handle. It's a segment of our business, right?
Sure.
So we want them to handle the segment of the business, just like our Skywalk location or our chicken location or whatever. You want the manager to kind of handle it. Well, he wasn't very good on the administrative side. And as far as booking, had a little bit of, maybe a little bit of laziness to him, but the truck was clean, and the food was good. So there was positives, because in the past we had the exact opposite, but, so sales weren't quite as good, but it's okay. It's a marketing arm for us, right? So,
Sure.
And we've talked about that in the past, Randy. It's, our food truck, if our food truck never went out at all, who cares, right?
Exactly.
Truck's paid for and thing, it's a small part of our business. To me, it's more marketing expense than it is anything.
I would
If
agree.
I can break even on the truck all year long, if I can break even on the truck, which we do better than break even, but if I can break even on the truck, but I can have that truck all around the city, marketing Smokey D's, I think it pays there. So anyway, improvements to be made. But so he goes back home. He's going to go back home for a week or 10 days. So we had one more event this past weekend to do. So, our GM hops in the truck and backs into the neighbor's retaining wall.
Yikes.
And virtually takes out the neighbor's retaining wall. And I talked to her this morning. She made it sound like, because there was a note, I'm going to come in and talk to Schuling about the retaining wall. That was the note. And I'm like, hey, what happened to the retaining wall? And Randy's like, well, I was backing up the truck. And I'm like, rearview mirrors didn't work and hit the corner. So she didn't back into the wall. She got the side of the truck hung up on the wall. Right? So
Yikes.
Then I get the pictures. Okay. My Brenna, my sister-in-law, who's in charge of accounting and whatever, she sends me the pictures. We didn't just back into the wall. We took out the wall. But we also took out
technicality.
But we also took out the side of the truck too.
Ooh. That's not good. That's
we always say this is why we don't have nice things.
Yeah,
right?
Isn't that the truth?
Preach.
Isn't that the truth?
I mean, every time somebody drops a glass in the bar, we yell out to the crowd, that's why we don't have nice things. And so, right? And so, yeah, we don't have a nice food truck anymore. Oh, we still got a nice food truck, but anyway, so
little body shop work.
yeah, food truck season. I think food truck season's officially over. In my duties as social media director of social media, somebody wanted a food truck event for this past Friday, and it was the last minute.
That.
Hey, we had somebody back on. Oh, I'm sorry, our food truck's already booked or gone, or I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I just didn't want to screw with it.
Yeah. I checked our messages.
You did?
While I was on vacation, just to make sure.
Then why did I?
Just
have
like
to
a
check
couple.
them?
Well, I didn't have the notifications on, and the time difference is kind of absurd. But like just when I was bored one day, I just checked to make sure
She
you were
didn't think I could
responding to
handle
people.
it, just like
That's
you in
exactly
this
right.
podcast,
She's
Randy.
Exactly what.
second-guessing it, Darren.
I was on
That's
it. I check those things every like 3 or 4 hours.
I feel like you don't have the bike night account then, because we have a message in the bike night account.
What? Well, it's
yeah.
not bike night season, so why? And we're not doing bike night anymore, so why the hell would I check a bike night message?
Well, I don't know. It's just somebody that wanted their band to play next year. They asked who to contact.
Really?
Yeah.
I have the bike night account. Oh,
Yeah.
hey. The Kind of Petty Band.
Yeah.
What?
That was on October 19th. That was
was
before
it?
you left.
No, it was after I left. You got
Right
the
here.
duties.
Right here, Emma.
Yeah, I
Right
left.
here.
I
October
left it.
19th.
What was the time? because I was on vacation at approximately 3 p.m. that day.
Oh, okay. Well, you're covered then.
Technicality.
That's what I thought.
It's at 10:30 at night. I didn't even think, because I figured who would send a message to Bike Night. I was on there.
No, you were responding. I checked.
I was responding. Yeah.
I just had to make sure.
Somebody didn't like their burn-ins, and I said, "Oh, okay, I'll address it with a kitchen. You're not getting anything free like you want, but
It's true. You did
Right?
pretty much say that.
Exactly.
you already posted on Facebook the burn-in wasn't tender. So, and then you got to send me a message too. Okay.
Didn't they also make it a Google review?
Did they?
I think
What do we
so.
get? 3-star?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
That's okay. But anyway, so food truck season, Randy, you're gonna come out, talk about the food truck year. Interesting year, right? Because you were coming back from.
It was an interesting year, yeah. Coming back from down south and just kind of getting back in the swing of things. And the other thing is, just like everybody else in the restaurant business or in any business, labor is an issue. You know, I had a bunch of college kids that worked for me, and during the summer, and things went along pretty good. And then 1st of August, they all went back to school or went on to get big boy jobs. And then the month of August, we were pretty well out. And then football season's we've got the practices and days off, the days they have classes. So we're only out just a few days every now and then, not so much based on my schedule, but based on the schedule of when we can get help. And I've booked some stuff that we needed to have help, but we were able to get by with not as much help as we generally do. And as Darren and I've talked, maybe we really don't need as much help as we thought we needed. We were able to do some pretty large events with just a couple people, I always tried to get 3 in there. And our biggest thing is we know we want to try, when somebody comes up and places an order, we try to get the order out as fast as possible. And which I believe, in giving customer their product as soon as we can. But at the same time, I think people are a little more used to having to wait a little bit for something at a food truck, just because of the whole
food truck, right?
Just the whole logistics
Yeah.
and the way things are set up in the food truck. I mean, we do a pretty good job, but I think there's sometimes we do too good of a job, and we've got people spoiled that they think they can come up and get an order right away. And that's when we were having 3 people, maybe even on big events having 4 people in the truck. And now we're down to just me and one other person. And our times haven't really went down that much, but to me it's noticeable, and I need to get over it. But the biggest challenge has been kind of like everybody else, the labor and stuff. So,
well, and so right, so you bring up a good point. So back like when we used to vend, okay, so we started our barbecue career out as we used to vend at barbecue contests, really.
Right.
And so we had some really nice ones, Mason City and whatever, that were huge vending events for us. And, we never hardly had a line. But there was Randy's old buddies over at Florida Skin and Bones, old Rooster and Lisa and the group, right? And for you old timers that listen to this, you'll know that. But anyway, so the Florida Skin and Bones, they would have this huge long line. Well, then we go to the end of the night and compare, and hell, I had 3 times the sales because I never had a line, because I was servicing people like super fast, right? Super fast. That was always, it's still our motto today. As fast as you can possibly get that food out, because people don't have a lot of time. So sometimes we would purposely create a line. So if we didn't have any customers, I'd have 3 or 4 people go stand in line. Just kind of stand there. I'm not going to serve you anything, but just stand in line, and you start to build the line. And once you build the line, it's in people's mentality that, oh, this line is long. That food's got to be good. No, they're just slow as shit. No, their food's actually shit, and they're slow as shit. Right.
Well, and I'd
I
always
think
been
that line
told.
game is risky.
No, I'd always been told
What's that,
by
Emma?
guys
I
that
said I think that line game is risky. Oh, we'll get there.
I was told
Okay,
by
Emma's time to talk,
Okay.
Randy.
Well,
He doesn't listen.
no.
Emma,
oh dear
Emma,
God.
what'd you say
I
about
was
the
just-
line?
I just feel like that line game is risky because, like, when I see a long line, or most of the time a line at all, I'm like, nah, just, I don't want to wait.
Right. What were you going to say, Randy?
Well, and was told by some guys that did a lot of the rib fests and stuff like that, that, like out in Sparks, Nevada, and went around and like up in Chicago, and that the most valuable person on the team is the guy taking orders, because he would know how to throttle
There's no doubt.
throttle the line, make it slow, make a line. I know, Emma, I kind of agree with you. You see a line, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But when you see a line, as Darren said earlier, people are like, God, the food must be good because look at all the people waiting in line. Now, the thing that I get concerned about with us is we won't have a line of people placing the orders, because I can get people through pretty quick. We do sometimes when we're at an event at a location and it's 11 o'clock and they all come at once. But then what I get concerned about is the line of people picking up food. And
Yeah.
I get nervous when I start seeing that build up. But I mean, again, we do as well as we can, and I haven't had anybody complain.
Have you put those pagers, Randy? Have you put those pagers in yet?
No. And what
So
we do,
You should.
We put that paging system in, and you don't have to use the paging system. So it's just a simplistic paging system. It was like $259 on Amazon, I think. But you put in this paging system, and so if we have one person come to the truck and order something, and their order's going to be ready, we don't use the page. We don't give them a pager.
Sure.
We just put it in, right? Boom, boom, boom. But if we get 5 or 6 people and we know we're going to be a couple minutes, we'll give them the paging system. That way they're moving out, and that way they're not all waiting around waiting for us to yell a name.
Right.
We just hit
Right.
hit the pager. They come back, and so it's worked out really
It's
well.
nice.
And
Really?
and for most food trucks, it's like if I go place my order and you hand me my food, I'm sitting there going, is that really made from scratch, or you got a bunch of those made up ahead of time?
Exactly.
Where we were at my favorite breakfast truck again this week up in, at the Cape Coral Farmers Market. The only reason I go every Saturday is this breakfast truck. And I mean, there's probably a 5 or 6 minute wait, but they only have one window open. It's a 2-window truck, but they only have one window open, and the gal, she takes an order, and then she works on and delivers an order. She takes another order, delivers another order. She might take 2 orders if it's small, but then she delivers an order. She may, and she's very good at that back
She
and
do it
forth.
all by
But they have the
herself, does
pager
she?
system too.
Is she by herself?
No, she's got 2 other guys. She's got 2 other guys cooking in the truck.
I see. Okay.
But she's got two other guys cooking in the truck, but she does a very good job of, I mean, it was like, hey, they made this, and they do make stuff from scratch,
Sure.
right? But she may take your order and turn around and drop the, fried potatoes in the fryer, or she may cut up an avocado, or she might put granola on top of a yogurt bowl, or whatever. She's constantly back and forth. She's like the one glove bandit. She's got these one glove, that her left hand glove. She can do anything with her left hand touching food, because that's the biggest thing is if you're taking money,
Right.
you can't have gloves on to take money. You don't want to do that from a health safety standpoint. So she's learned to do everything with one gloved hand.
Wow.
Right. So she can take money with one hand, and her left hand, she's doing the work with touching the food.
Taking the food.
Pretty interesting.
I'll be dang.
Yeah. So same thing. But yeah, Randy and I talked a lot this summer about, he's like, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, because he's used to having 3 and 4 people on the truck. I'm like, dude, I think you can do it with 2. We do a lot with 2, and we're slicing brisket and pork and everything to order out there and burn ends. And I'm like, I think you can keep up. It's going to create a little bit of a delay, but a little bit of delay is not a bad thing. If you go to a food truck, I think anybody in the world can expect that they're going to wait 3 or 4 minutes for their food, and you're delivering way
it
before
proved itself right. I mean, we ended up.
Yeah.
I mean, we did some real big events, and just 2 of us, and you kind of get the rhythm down, and we used the one window where they'd I'd take the order, and then they'd bring the order back, and then I would expedite it out, and it worked out real good. So it was a way we were able to overcome some of the labor issues that we thought we were going to have, that we had from losing people during the summer, from the summertime and that. So, but the other thing I've noticed is on some events that at some locations, we do a lot around some medical areas, and it's nice to find out pay periods. The last thing you want to do is have you show up at a location and it be the end of a pay period, because nobody wants to spend the money.
Nobody has any money. They're waiting, but the day they get paid, the coffers are full again.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what we live in. We live in especially the younger generation. We live in a paycheck to paycheck. And Emma's smiling at me here.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I found out, and I'm a man about town, so I didn't know this, but we have a lot of people come to the truck and say, "Do you take cash?" And I'm like, yeah.
So I feel like that's a thing that is dying.
It is.
Because well, even in Italy, I didn't have a tap. I don't have a tap. My debit card isn't tap, and I don't have it set up on my phone, like the tap to pay or whatever, the Apple Pay stuff. And most of the time, if I pulled out cash, you could tell that I was pissing people off. Because I'd be like,
I didn't realize it.
Come on.
Till I had a guy tell me that he went to a baseball game, or baseball or football game, and ordered a couple round of beers and stuff, and went up to the counter and got out money. And they're like, "No, we don't take cash. It has to be credit card."
Principal Park in Des Moines is cashless. You can't use cash at Principal Park in Des Moines anymore.
So people are kind of surprised that we take
part
cash.
of that. Well, and you know why that's happened, and Iowa State Fair, kind of the same way. So what happens is you get to these parks, right? And Principal Park, I'm sure, takes a 20% off the top.
Yeah.
So vendors out there that would take cash, they'd go, one for me, one for you, and then they'd report their sales. So they'd say, "Hey, for the night we had 5,000 in sales," and they give them their spiff. Well, really, they had 6,000 in sales, but they didn't report the cash and take the 20% off the cash.
Exactly.
So the Iowa State Fair and the Principal Park, they're going, "No, show me your POS receipt," right? Yeah. So when you're doing all cashless, or show me your credit card transactions, when you close out your books for the day, now all of a sudden I get all my money, right? Yeah. So I see why that's happening. We're still big cash people. We still try, and if I go to local restaurants, if I go to a chain restaurant, I'll whip out the credit card every time. I very rarely do that. But if I'm at a local restaurant, cash is still king. We went to buy a mattress the other day down here in Florida. Sherry's back was hurting, so time for a new mattress, right? And we go, and it's a $2,000-$3,000 mattress, and Sherry whips out cash, and she's like, "Do you have exact change?" Sherry's like, "No." "Well, I just soon you take credit card." And I'm like, you think of it from an owner standpoint, hell yeah, he wants that cash. But the employee is sitting here going, I don't care if it cost him another 2.5-3%, because that's what it cost.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting. And I know we'll move into a cashless society. I know that'll be the case. That's the convenience factor.
Yeah. Well, and I think like Italy's thing is they were pretty big on the whole pandemic and COVID and stuff. And so like a lot of it is just to have less interaction.
Yeah, we're 3 years later on that. We're over that.
Well, yeah, not the entire. You might be, but not the rest of the world.
Hey, Randy, you over that?
I'm dead over.
Are you over that?
Yeah, by about
Okay,
hand
so
over
we got
fist.
I'm
two.
just saying.
I understand. I mean, it
But-
changed the one thing the pandemic. It was the Great Reset, right?
Yeah.
So it changed the way we all had to do a business. It
Mhm.
made it, I think the biggest thing that it did was it took the personality and relationship out of business, right? So
I would
it
agree.
made it transactional.
I can see
it
that.
made every business is transactional. And so to us, and we've always been a very transactional business because we've always been an order at the counter. You used to come up and get your own food, but now, order at in the old days, but order at the counter and then we bring your food to you. So there's not much thing. So we
Interaction.
constantly have to work on that interaction with employees of, hey, the customer's only going to talk to an employee for about 30 seconds.
Exactly.
So you got to make them 30 seconds, make them feel like they're at home, make them feel like, from a tip perspective, if you go over the top or when they're walking out the door, give them the old, hey, thanks for coming in, right? That's what's missing in America today because most places are, get the fuck out. I need to serve somebody else.
It's a factory.
Right?
It's a factory.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Which is good somewhat from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily have to have a bunch of friendly people working, right? Because, I mean, going to a McDonald's, once in a while I find some I'll go in sometimes just to get something quick, breakfast or whatever, and I'll find just a gem of an employee. And I'm like, what are you doing working here?
I agree.
It's just, they're probably an axe murderer or something, got 15 felonies, but man,
Yeah.
they are like the best.
I would agree with you. There's times it's like,
that's so dramatic.
you don't belong here.
Yeah.
Right. So that business has changed. COVID's changed it, but food truck is Phil's food truck. I think food trucks are still on the rise. I still think that we're seeing that popularity, and we're probably going to change it next year. We're probably going to change it where we're going to have another person just booking the food truck, and we're just going to book the shit out of it.
Well,
but we're not going to book it just to come sit on a street corner, right? Because to me, successful food trucks, some of the most successful food trucks in Des Moines, like let's say Top Bun. Top Bun's never on a street.
Never.
Yeah.
But they're busy as shit because they're always doing private events.
They do.
Randy, you talked about your mix, right? I mean, you got a choice. Do you want to go on a street or do I want a corporate thing? You're going to take that corporate thing every single time.
Oh, most definitely. And what we've kind of done is we've done the corporate stuff and then filled in when I have the help, can fill in and do the on the street stuff in the meantime.
Right.
Kind of uses filler, but yeah, I could see. But the thing of it is, on some of these corporate events, you've got to really qualify what you're going to do. I mean, not now, of course, because we're going into winter, but back in July and August, I would probably get 2 to 3 phone calls a week, which is pretty good for us, of wanting us to do events. And, you can't just say, okay, I'll take it, because you may get there and they not have very many people. So you kind of, when you talk to somebody, you got to start asking some questions to qualify that event. Otherwise, you'll just be running your tires off going to some of these smaller things. And in one way, I hate doing that because you never know when a small event's going to turn into a big event eventually. But, you got to pay your help. You got your food costs and things like that. And the biggest challenge I have is qualifying some of these events of whether they'll be big enough or not. And we do a minimum. We have a minimum amount of sales that the event has to do. And otherwise, the person arranging the event is going to have to pony up the difference. And probably not a real nice way to say it, but I it kind of separates the men from the boys. You always have somebody, well, we'd like to have a food truck come to our location. Okay, how many people are you going to have there? Well, we've got 20 employees. Well, I can't come there and do bring the food truck there for 20 employees. But it's a busy street corner.
I mean, I can if you want to give me $1,000 minimum, I can do that.
And that's
right?
exactly it. And if they go, well, we really want to do something for our employees, and I go, okay, and we'll start talking about average ticket price and things like that, and say, we got to come up, hit 1,000, and if not, somebody will have to do the difference. And we had an event over the weekend that's exactly what happened. But it was because of weather. The weather turned out terrible and cold and rainy and windy, and and so I sent them an invoice for $1,000.
Yeah, that's just the hardest part of food trucking, right?
Yeah,
got Mother Nature. You're outside. You're a mobile thing. If it's crappy, people aren't going to come stand in the rain.
Well, one of my guys asked me yesterday, was out prepping, and he goes, "Are we going to have the food truck out Tuesday?" And I said, "No." I said, they're calling low up here. It's supposed to get down to 18 degrees on Tuesday night. And I said, people will not come out. The one thing I have noticed when we have went out, and sometimes when it's been cold, you want to make sure you got a place for parking so people can come in and get out. And there's where I think your pager would be a big addition.
Yeah,
people could jump back into the car.
Go sit in your car. They'll reach.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that would be a good idea.
Totally agree.
Use those. But overall, we had a real good season with a food truck this year. So
that's good.
Nice.
That's good. We had one too. Emma, anything else? What do we got to cover? We need to talk about being a little bit more structured, but that's okay. It's always just about talking, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm sitting here, I'm staring at a pool. I'm probably not going to get in it because I gotta meet with a software company in another hour or two. But
oh boy, is the pool guy still there?
I know. No.
So
Sherry's sitting out in the sunshine reading her book. She's just happy as a lark. Our house guest Brian and Carrie they left early this morning. They went over to Fort Lauderdale and are leaving on a Jimmy Buffett cruise for 2 days just cruising to the Bahamas overnight and staying in the Bahamas and cruising home. So they wanted us to go, and I'm like, Jimmy Buffett, I'm out. Cruise ship, I'm out. Have fun. Take my vehicle and drive over there, and we'll see you on Wednesday. So in the meantime, I'm trying to get some work done. I've got to work again on a smoker. They trying to take one of the hex screws out, and they stripped the hex screw out. So they're like, what do we do? I'm like, well, get the drill out and drill it out. And so I'm going to become maintenance supervisor here for the next hour.
You just want to send me what to do? I'll go up there and fix it for him.
Yeah, no. Well, I got my man David on it. I think he's got it figured out. But
oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, you stripped out the screw because you didn't get it in far enough. Just trying to... Nothing ever breaks. Nothing ever breaks when I'm home.
I found that
nothing. And then you go out of town and shit. Randy, I can't believe you've never replaced the fan blades on those old Hickories.
Never had to.
Well, read your maintenance checklist, Randy. You should be taking those blades out every 3 months. You clean them? You do?
Power wash them in there.
Randy?
Yes, I do.
No, you can't reach those with a power washer.
Yes, you can. It goes.
No,
don't call him out like that.
Yeah, calling me out on that. Bullshit.
Yeah, I am calling him. I know I know Randy's maintenance program. I'm just astonished. That he's never had to replace a blade or a convection fan motor or whatever.
I haven't.
That just amazes me.
And that just says something about Old Hickory pits too. I mean,
there's no doubt.
That one pit, I forget, both of those pits are like in the teens. Were built, they've got some years on them and stuff. So,
well,
yeah, and again, as you said, when you leave home, stuff breaks. Here we have talked about it, and probably when I go to use it this week,
it'll break.
What the hell's wrong with this thing? And then realize that the convection fan's out of it. So.
Yeah. When it starts cooking slow, the convection fan is out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Super easy. Okay. Anything else? I think
No, I
that's enough
don't.
for this week.
Okay.
You don't? You got anything else?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay. Well, sorry, Emma, we didn't get this done. Sorry you got to spend your Monday back editing a podcast because Randy and I couldn't pull through.
Kind of dropped the ball.
But it was not my fault.
I don't think
Was
it's
not
the
my
first
fault.
time, and it probably won't be the last. So it's fine.
Okay.
I'll take care of it.
Thanks for
Okay.
joining us,
Okay.
Randy. Take time out of your busy day, I'm sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Busy Monday. Phone's been ringing off the wall here, so glad to be here.
Call him in an hour, and he'll be sitting in front of the TV watching Fox News.
What's that channel?
Mm.
I think you should go rile up the dogs once as we end this segment. Just rile them up.
All we'd have to do is start the feeding frenzy, and it would be riled up. That's for damn sure.
It's the Corgi Kingdom down there, and
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
Moose and Lucy. So that it livens things up. That's for sure.
okay. Until
All right.
next time. Wait, this is where Emma has her blurb.
Okay.
Like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever, Threads, and TikTok. We try to post every Monday on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Hopefully this goes out on a Monday. If not, it'll be a Tuesday. But
We have faith in you. We have faith that you're going to only make us like 12 hours late instead of.
Nah, it'll be probably
2 days
earlier
late.
than that. Yeah.
Randy looks like he needs to get back to work. We're going to tell Randy he can't be on his computer during podcast.
I'm not on my computer.
What are you doing?
I see your eyes wandering.
What are you doing?
I'm just sitting here listening to you guys. Well, there we go.
Yeah,
There came an email.
Yeah.
I mean, email.
We're out of here.
All right, you cats. Hey.
Okay.
Yeah,
See you
until
later.
next week.
Okay. Nope.
Okay, until next week. See you guys.
Okay. Bye.